When the settlers came to the New World, they found an entire continent full of plants and animals that they had never seen before. Truly, it was a time when dragons could be over the next hill, when you find real animals like mountain lions, platypuses, and armadillos just hanging out, living their freaky little lives. This tradition of concocting fantastical fauna has lived on to this day through the tireless work of the bearded, overweight, and undersexed men, and let's be honest, mostly men, of the cryptozoological world.
Stephen, Adam, and Beans prepare to go ashore.
What is cryptozoology? Well, it's like biology, but without the evidence. This has led to a rich tapestry of fantastic beasts, funny little guys, and whatever the heck this thing is, that people have spotted all over North America. And I'm gonna kiss them all. Why? Why not? In this video, I'm going to be rating whether I'd lock lips with different North American cryptids. Now, I'm not going to be able to get to every single cryptid in North America, so if I don't get to your favorite cryptid, then feel free to complain in the comments, but I'm going to warn you, I'm going to expect you to say whether you would lock lips with that cryptid yourself. Because I'm doing it for like a bunch of cryptids, so you could say it for one. You could do it just one, you goobers. And also please note that this is all just for fun. This is working off the Pokemon Smash or Pass principle, where like, if cryptids started like coming out of the forest tomorrow, don't come at me being like, well, go on, do it. You said you would. My tier list ranges all the way from French kiss to kiss on the lips, all the way down to hell nah. And this thing would kill me. Because, let's be honest, not all these monsters are looking for love. Some are looking for blood. And I think this list should reflect that. But without any further ado, let's start with one of the most famous cryptids of all.
He's the leader of the bunch. You know him well.
The granddaddy of all modern cryptozoology, Bigfoot remains one of the most popular cryptids around. And for good reason. Originally spotted in the northwestern United States, it's been spotted all over the world, sporting different names such as the Sasquatch, the Yeti, or the abominable snowman, etc., etc. They're all described as being large, hairy humanoids around 7 to 8 feet tall. But the Bigfoot fever didn't really take off until the Patterson-Gimlin film in 1967, showing the now iconic, when he's doing the big walk from the bed, and he does the little, ooh, me, little Bigfoot. That's the walk of a guy who knows he can get kisses. And boy, oh boy, I have a fever, and it is for Bigfoot. And I'm not the only one. Just ask Chuck Tingle, noted dinosaur, alien, and Bigfoot erotica writer, known for his scintillating tales such as Pounded by President Bigfoot, Seduced by Dr. Bigfoot, Attorney at Large, and Bigfoot Pirates Haunt My Balls. And don't worry, I'll be reading a passage from one of those at the end, so stay tuned. Some people think that Bigfoot is the lost evolutionary link between humanity and apes. Others think that they might be aliens or interdimensional beings. The Mormons, in their official scripture, say that Bigfoot is Cain from the Bible, baby. Yes, the Cain, like Cain and Abel, like he's fresh from his brother, which is some world building that only a religion that has special magical underwear could come up with. Although there are scattered reports of Bigfoots attacking humans and livestock.
Dave! Dave!
Most people say that they have a calm and wise aura around them, which means a lot because they also apparently have the aroma aura of a dead skunk, which is blech. There have also been reports of Bigfoots helping kids who got lost in the woods, and if that Harry and the Henderson bullshit doesn't warm your heart, then I got bad news. You're dead inside, my friend. I would French kiss the OG Bigfoot in a heartbeat, because I just love his vibe, and I can imagine him wrapping his big hairy arms around me, and I just feel so small and safe, and I just look up at him, and I'm like, oh, and he looks down at me, and he says, I love you, Will, and I go, I love you, Bigfoot, and then we French kiss in the woods as the sun goes down, and it's just... Sorry, you caught me daydreaming there. But I don't think I would feel the same about his other Sasquatch brethren. Speaking of which, how about we go south and meet the...
Whatever it was, I flipped over about 3 times. What if it was the Sasquatch?
Called the Southern Sasquatch, the Fouke monster goes by a variety of other monikers, including the Jonesville Monster, the Swamp Stalker, and the Beast of Buggy Creek. Most Sasquatches are described as having glowing yellow eyes, but the Fouke monster is the hot topic manager of Bigfoots and has glowing red eyes and darker fur that make him kind of look like Shadow the Hedgehog, the Bigfoot. But he's giving key your car energy. He's giving, don't take this wrong, dude, but your sister is banging kind of energy. You know, like, I think if I did kiss him, it would be in the back of a pickup truck after a Korn concert or something like that. We'd crack open a few brews, we'd stare up at the stars, and we'd talk about life. I don't think he would say much other than, and, well, that's crazy, dude. But that's fine, because eventually we get to that point in the night where we lock eyes and then get closer and we kiss for the first time. Except, I think if I opened my eyes in the middle of that, he would just be staring at me with the big red eyes, which is, I don't like that. And after I told him that I think we should just be friends, I think he would try to stalk me and kill my dog. So, ew, no.
Everything is honey.
Now, you may be just as disappointed as I was to learn that Honey Island isn't literally an island covered in honey. And by extension, the Honey Island swamp monster isn't a Sasquatch that is just absolutely coated in honey. But he might be covered in gumbo, given his other name of the Cajun Sasquatch, given that he lives in Louisiana. Some say that he might be a crossbreed between an escaped circus chimpanzee and an alligator, which, no. So I'm gonna say straight up, no, that's stupid. That's too stupid even for the cryptozoology world. A hobo made that up, and for some reason it's ended up on a wiki, and now I'm saying it to you right now, which is extra stupid. But I gotta say, Louisiana's got that effect on people. It's kind of like an aphrodisiac in the swamps, or whatever the term for whipping your tits out at Mardi Gras is. And if he sounds like Gambit, the most sexual of the X-Men, which is saying a lot, then, oh, it is game over. Especially if he's calling me like Sherry and shit like that. It's, oh.
Shell.
Ooh, full French kiss, mon ami.
Till then, we be friends, mon ami.
My stars, if an interesting monster can't have an interesting hairdo, then I don't know what things are coming to.
Also hailing from Louisiana and Missouri, Momo the Missouri monster is described as having a pumpkin-shaped head, which according to artist representations means that he looks like Cousin It from the Addams Family or like the hair monster from Looney Tunes. But I kind of dig his whole vibe. Like, I think he would have like a beat-up van that maybe would have like a painted side with a unicorn and like him next to the unicorn. Kind of like a hide and play in sight kind of deal. And I think he would share his weed with me. And that's a big plus. Like, we could hotbox that van. We could hotbox him, his hair. Like, I bet he... Put my hair down. Let me... There we go. Whoa. I don't know if he has a mouth underneath all that hair, though, so I'm gonna give him a big old kiss on that big old mop of hair he has on his head.
Now come on over. I baked y'all an apple pie.
Yeah!
One of the smaller Sasquatches on our list, clocking in at about 4 feet tall, the Appleswitch, which I'm going off a limb on that pronunciation, by the way, is a contraction of the term apple snitch, which, you know what they say, apple snitches get apple stitches. Except the apple switch seems to be giving the apple stitches because it's known for stealing picnic baskets and hucking apples at people from local trees. It sounds like a combination of Yogi Bear and Dennis the Menace, like they got in a transporter accident or something. And also, a great date idea. I would go on that date with a regular human person, let alone a tiny little Sasquatch, and just look at him. Can you just look at him? He's just so cute. He's just tiny. He's a little mischievous little troublemaker. But I don't think the apple switch has that elusive, sexy quality that I'm looking for the full French kiss. But don't get me wrong, we would still be K-I-S-S-I-N-G in that apple tree.
Sometimes words have different meanings, like the word bat could be an animal or a baseball bat.
I'm a bat.
You're not a bat.
Batsquatch is exactly what you think he would be. He is a Sasquatch that has bat wings and he can fly around like a big bat. But the story goes that in the 1980s, something was seen circling around the plume of Mount St. Helens eruption. I like to think that a kid saw him and was like, oh, Batman! And then Batsquatch comes up and he's like, But this sounds like I can add Sightseer to his list of hobbies, which me and Batsquatch would have in common. Batsquatch does have other abilities, like apparently he can make car engines stop, but I don't think that's gonna be a big problem for us, because I imagine that he would carry me in his arms like he's Superman or something, and I'd look up at him and go, ooh, what do you think? Maybe you wanna have a kiss, Batsquatch? And then Batsquatch looks back at me and goes, okay, Batsquatch gets a full French kiss from me.
Dude, I warned you. I said I was going to do that if you did that again.
Batsquatch is not scary. The Woods Devil is kind of scary. Hailing from Coos County, New Hampshire, and that is how it's pronounced, because I was going to pronounce it Coos County, and then my New Hampshireite girlfriend comes up to me and is like, it's actually Coos, and I'm like, how does that make sense? I know English. The Woods Devil is described as a taller, lankier version of the Sasquatch we all know and love. It's described as having a longer face as well, resembling kind of a dog or a horse. And it's said to be shy, which and it's said to stand completely still to make people think that it looks like a tree, which, like, I'm fine with introverts, but this, I could see myself getting in an argument with the Woods Devil because he, like, left the fridge open or something, and then he pulls this shit, and it's like, I can see you, Woods Devil. The lamp's not that wide. Come on! Relationships are built on communication, and therefore, ew, no, to the Woods Devil.
I say, what are you doing out here, old chap?
It's a Bigfoot with a coat and a top hat. That's I wanted to show everybody that there's a Bigfoot with a coat and a top hat because I thought it was just funny. So that's all there really is on this guy. So I will give this fancy gentleman a full French kiss.
I started calling myself the people's champion just to piss people off.
But now let's move on to a different category of monster, one that lives in the lakes, oceans, and different bodies of water. Lake monsters are either the most likely to exist or the least likely to exist, based on their location and their description. For example, scientists have all but proven that Loch Ness is just too small of a lake to house, let alone hide, a plesiosaur. Alternatively, Lake Champlain's a big place. And where better to start our discussion on water cryptids than with Champ? Named after Lake Champlain, a lake so big that it borders Vermont, New York, and Canada. Unlike most places that don't seem to want anything to do with their local cryptid, both Port Henry, New York, and Burlington, Vermont seem to be competing over Champ, like the most whimsical divorce there ever was. Featuring multiple monuments, parades, holidays, and even minor league sports teams, neither town seems to be able to get an advantage in ownership over Champ. And that really gets at my jealousy because everybody wants this guy, which means I want him too. It's one of my toxic traits.
And I watched it turn its head and neck and look around, and even then, I'm not frightened.
They even have a romantic origin story for Champ, where he was a scorned suitor that pushed his beloved off of a cliff before jumping in after her, and forever being transformed into a giant plesiosaur for some reason. But this does get him some points in the romance department, I guess. Like, he's the only cryptid that really has a romantic origin. But let's be honest, if they said that Champ was a 10-year-old kid that got a genie's wish to turn into a lake monster, it would probably have the same grounding in reality. But the point remains, would I kiss him? You know I would. I don't know what it is about plesiosaurs, but I always feel like they're either going to be super nice or they're going to bite me in half. Even if you take his origin story as being a murderer for truth, I still think he has a nice little face, and I don't know, he seems nice. Maybe it's because of Mario 64 and like Dory and that, where I'm just like, you're my friend, and I can climb on your back, and we could do jumping puzzles together. I will give Champ a kiss on the lips.
Sure glad I was born a water dragon and not one of those flying dragons that eat people.
And speaking of plesiosaurs, it might seem unfair that I gave Champ his own entry where I'm bundling the rest of these plesiosaurs together, but it's my list and I can do what I want with it. And also, there's so many cryptids I gotta get through, and also, they're not that different from one another. Most of them are just kind of bumping into boats and startling people on the shore.
And for about 10 minutes, we saw nothing. So we had quite a time there where my daughter and my wife were saying, there, look. And I'd say, where? I can't see anything.
Which is to say that they don't really do anything. At least it's not like the Bigfoots that we covered where they're like hucking apples at people and like doing pranks and shit. From my research, water cryptids seem to fit into 3 categories: plesiosaurs, serpents, and gators/gars. But what's the difference between them? Plesiosaurs usually have a big barrel-shaped torso and a long neck. Sea serpents, on the other hand, are all neck, baby. And then gars/alligators, I'm just gonna call them gators, have big toothy mouths that they use to bite people. But it gets confusing because a lot of these cryptids are described as either in between these categories or described in multiple different ways. Like one will describe them as a plesiosaur and then I'll see a picture of them as a sea serpent and I'm like, okay, there has to be consistency here, but there's none because it's cryptozoology. I'm trying to loosely categorize loosely defined creatures, okay? So I'm doing my best here. The plesiosaurs in particular seem to be aping off of the Loch Ness Monster's whole deal, with names like Bessie, Tessie, Chessie, and Kipsy. Also in this category is Altamaha, Colossal Clawed, and the Memphrey. They're often described as having kind of a horse or moose face, which I think is very cute. They're probably just misidentified mooses swimming. Something about these guys, I could imagine them like coming out of the water like huge and magnificent and going, human, I shall give you one wish. What's that? You want a lifetime supply of the Cheesecake Factory? What is this Cheesecake Factory and why do you want it so? Because, Mr. Plesiosaur, food is expensive and Cheesecake Factory has a big menu. I would kiss Chessie, Bessie, Altamaha, and Colossal Clawed on the lips, and I would kiss Kipsy, Chessie, and the Memphrey on the head. Why? Just vibes.
Alright, wish me luck.
As humans, we're hardwired to detect threats, much like a cat confusing a cucumber for a snake. When I look at sea serpents, I think threat detected. But what if you give that threat a happy little face? Now we're talking. Such is the nature of man. Doesn't have friend body, but maybe have friend face. Clocking in at an impressive 50 feet of length, and usually with a width a little bit bigger than a telephone pole, these sea serpents will glide through the water with their telltale humps that they use to, I guess, go up and down. I feel like most things go back and forth, but maybe it can undulate. It can undulate, can it? Through the water.
And so, as I said, it just happened like that. All of a sudden, there's this lead hump, like the Brahma bull hump. All of a sudden, just like this, just so gracefully, just like that, looked out, looked at me, and I was screaming with excitement, which I wish I wasn't doing because it went down more rapidly, came back, and then very gracefully, very slowly, went back down into the water just like that. And this was the movement, just up and down.
The most famous of these is Ogopogo, who lives off the coast of British Columbia and the northwest United States. He also has a cousin in Lake Manitoba called Manipogo. Another creature that's local to my home state of Massachusetts is the Gloucester serpent. And yes, that is how it's pronounced. Welcome to Massachusetts, baby! I like this guy because he's a chunky boy, and I could imagine him coming out of the water like, "Hey, what are you doing for dinner? You cooking up a meatloaf? I would love a meatloaf right now. Maybe got some Several Adams." But the most interesting of this cadre of sea serpents is Caddy, who they seem to have found a corpse of something that looks at least similar to the descriptions of Caddy. People describe Caddy as having a kind of a camel head with ears and stuff, and something about it's just so friendly and sweet looking, and so therefore, I will give Caddy a full French kiss. I will give the Gloucester serpent a kiss on the lips, and the Ogopogo cousins, I'll give a kiss on the head.
Remember the gator that got your hand? I got his head.
Half these mofos look like Monster Hunter bosses, which does not bode well for me. The Bear Lake Monster is probably the most gatory out of them all, with the Flathead Lake Monster having a longer snout. The Alkali Lake Monster has a big rhino horn, as if being a 40-foot long lake monster wasn't enough. And the Ilomina Lake Monster is kind of going for a more fishy feel with it, with some pictures having the full gator head, some having kind of an angler head, and most confusing of all, some just have like a trout head, which is kind of creepiest of all. Cassie's probably the most classic sea monster, to the point that I'm pretty sure I killed Cassie in the opening of God of War. These sea monsters really balance out how relatively nice I've been to the other sea monsters, because these guys would just kill me and chew on my waterlogged bones.
Oh, I'm Big Bird.
Yeah,
I think I need to get...
I figured that out.
Hailing from a place called Sesame Street, which I guess is in the Rio Grande, Big Bird is a... Sorry, wrong Big Bird. Unlike our favorite yellow feather friend, the Big Bird is described as having a long beak, a gorilla's face, and a 12-foot long wingspan of featherless bat wings. Some think that Big Bird is a pterodactyl, others think that maybe it's a giant vulture or something, but everybody agrees that it's a terror of the sky. And there is evidence that there used to be giant birds that would fly across the land, big enough to snatch people up and munch on them. And who's to say if they're not still around? I don't really have a thing against kissing beaks, but something about the gorilla face is really off-putting to me, of just like gorilla face with beak. Ugh. So I will give Big Bird a nice firm wing shake. The winged menace of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and current inhabitant of my shirt. The Mothman is known for his penchant for engaging in high-speed pursuits with stone teens, breaking and entering, and being a harbinger of doom. Well, at least that's what John Keel says in his 1973 book, The Mothman Prophecies. That was later turned into a movie starring Richard Gere. In it, he theorizes that the reason that the Mothman was sighted in 1966 and 67 was because he was trying to warn people about the upcoming Silver Bridge collapse. And ever since then, people have kind of tacked that onto the Mothman persona, that maybe he's an interdimensional creature that comes and tries to warn people about impending disasters. My main issue with Mothman is that there seems to be multiple versions of him, because in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, they actually have a statue of Mothman, and oh my god, why did they make the terror of the skies, the red-eyed demon of Point Pleasant, have a six-pack? Like, how could he fly with all that cake? He's got a whole bakery back there. If this is how Mothman really looks, then oh my god, yeah, we're Frenching. We're probably gonna go past Frenching, because this guy is built. But this is, for lack of a better term, the Disneyfied version of Mothman. Most people, when they see him, describe him like this. Which, to paraphrase a lot of locals, he got no head. And by that they mean he has like, his eyes are where my shoulders would be, and he just kind of flaps around, and he kind of looks like, what's it, the hair monster from Looney Tunes? That's the second time I brought this guy up. This version is definitely more moth-like, but definitely less sexy, so I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of meet it in the middle, because I would give a full French kiss to the Point Pleasant statue version, but I would probably shake the hand or just kind of kiss on the head for the other Mothman. So let's just say kiss on the lips. Even though he's gonna have like moth mouth, which is gonna gross.
What the? Ridley, you murdered my whole family! What's next? Oh,
with a name like Maryland, you would expect it to be a little merry, but sadly within its borders are two terrible creatures, one being Baltimore and the other being the Snallegaster, the tale of the Schnillergeist, or the quick spirit, according to the German immigrants that came in the 1700s, describe a half reptile, half bird, with a metallic beak and teeth, and tentacles sometimes, which sounds like the oddly specific preferences of a furry. Like, I like birds half of the time, I like reptiles the other half, and I like tentacles sometimes. But what'd that tongue do though? Though the name changed over the years, the description did not, and it was known for diving down on people, grabbing them up, and sucking their blood out of them like a Capri Sun. But what's a monster without a couple of monster hunters? Not me, of course, unless you consider searching for smooches as hunting. The Snallegaster is a rare cryptid in that not only did a US president believe in it, but almost postponed a full African safari to hunt it down. Of course, I'm talking about the big stick-carrying, mustachioed Teddy Roosevelt. Could you imagine if you actually went through with it and like somehow caught the Snallegaster? Because if anyone's going to catch it, it's going to be Teddy Roosevelt. And he's just like, and here you see the Lincoln portrait, and next to that you see the disgusting pelt of the Snallegaster. Please make sure not to touch the tentacles, they drip a little bit. Another odd wrinkle to the Snallegaster is it actually has another cryptid as an arch enemy, which I don't think I've ever like heard of before. Like, cryptids don't really interact with one another that much. So it's very interesting to hear multiple tales of a creature called the Dewyo, which is supposed to be like a bipedal werewolf kind of creature, and they apparently just like duke it out and they attack each other, and that's cool as shit. Because like, imagine a werewolf fighting just this bird thing with a metal beak looking like fucking Ridley from Metroid, just punching each other in the face. Like, why not? Most of this stuff is made up anyway, so why not just create a complex web of like rivalries and romances? That would be pretty great to make even the most ardent soap opera watcher go, okay? But the thing is, I think this Ridley Cthulhu-ass looking thing would definitely just break me open and suck all my blood. So this guy is definitely gonna kill me. But what that tongue do though?
Heaven is a place called New Jersey.
Out of all the cryptids around, the Jersey Devil is one of my favorites, and it has one of the more interesting origin stories dating back to an old colonial legend. It was said that a one Mrs. Leeds was having her 13th child, and it wasn't going so well. And so she yelled, "Let the child be the devil!" You know, as we all would in such a situation, and the devil did oblige her, and transformed the baby into a creature having the face and hooves of a goat, the wings of a bat, and the forked tail of a demon. After its birth, it flew out of the chimney to forever haunt the Pine Barrens area of New Jersey for all time. Which means that, according to the legend, technically it was born from a human, so I guess it's human? So that's something, right? At least I got that. That being said, I don't really love the way that artists depict it with a kind of a skinless goat face, so I'm gonna have to say no to kissing, but I'm gonna give the Jersey Devil a nice, firm hoof shake. I respect your work, Mr. Jersey Devil. During my research, I found a lot of creatures that were just animals that already exist, that either were bigger or were just like slightly altered. And so I decided not to include an entire diatribe about each one, but a lot of them had really fun names. So I just wanted to give kind of honorable mentions to these guys, and I'll place them accordingly in the tier list. But do you really think I'm gonna survive hanging out with a bigger mountain lion? Like, I don't think so. But let's get right into it. We got the Ozark Howler. Wampus cat, Shunkaworkin, Bear Lake, giant beaver, Kawakis, snarly owl, Sinkhole Sam, Trinity Alps, giant salamander, the Spectre Moose, the Beast of Busco, the Oklahoma octopus, Wahila.
I think it's fair to warn you, I swing a fair shooting iron myself.
Now here's something that's a little bit more special. A portmanteau of jackrabbit and antelope, with features of both being a jackrabbit with antelope horns. But unlike a lot of modern cryptids, this one has a bunch of Wild West horse shit attached to it.
You're confused, kid. You ain't got no guns. Those are pickles. Sorry, kid. I didn't know the pickles were loaded.
Reported to be so dangerous that hunters were advised to wear stovepipes on their legs in order to not get gored by the jackalope. It was also said to be able to mimic human speech, and that usually manifests as being like the backup vocals to a cowboy's campfire song, which is very cute. And an inexplicable thirst for whiskey. Okay. Just like a cowboy. You know what? This is a jackrabbit I can hang out with. You like some whiskey? I like whiskey. You like to sing? I like to sing. In reality, these guys are probably just jackrabbits that are afflicted with the Shope papilloma virus, which causes horny protuberances to sprout out of the rabbit, and so people might have thought that was horns, which is a sad reality. So let's go back to the fantasy and ask, would I give the jackalope a kiss? Normally I would give it a kiss on the top of its little head, but since it seems to have those dangerous horns, I'm gonna give it a little kiss on the lips. Ew, whiskey breath.
El Chupacabra, he gets the ghosts and some children, cause he's El Chupacabra.
One of the more enduring and far-reaching cryptids on this list, the Chupacabra has been spotted in the southern US, Mexico, and Puerto Rico in various forms. In some stories, the Chupacabra is just kind of a weird, hairless dog, like probably a dog with mange, while other ones describe them as the evil gremlins from Gremlins. Like, is there an electric one? Is there a lady one that has big tits? A man can dream. These guys are kind of like vampires, and if I know anything from movies and television, I know that vampires get down. Even the yucky Nosferatu ones do.
You must bow on the head.
But that being said, I don't think I would want to kiss it. It's a little too yucky. I don't even think I would want to kiss it on its head. I think both versions are kind of like, So, ew, no.
Werewolf.
Werewolf?
There. What? There, wolf. There, castle.
Why are you talking that way?
It may or may not surprise you to hear that people are really into werewolves. And I mean really into werewolves. The only people more into them than the Germans were the French, who, when they came to the bayous of Louisiana, brought with them the idea of the loup-garou, or the werewolf. I am glad that there's an actual, etymological explanation for the name, though, because I thought it was just gonna be, onomatopoeia of a werewolf owl, like it was a fucked up Pokemon. It was just like, what do you think we should do, Rougarou? Rougarou! You're right. We should disembowel them. And contrary to a lot of literature on the subject, werewolves aren't nice. Werewolves do this. I don't care how jacked these guys are, they have sharp claws and they have sharp teeth, and so the Rougarou and its werewolf kindred like the Beast of Bray Road, they would just kill me. They would rip me apart and eat my entrails.
Look at that one! That one looks like a dog! Oh! It is a dog!
What?
On April Fool's Day 1987, disc jockey Steve Cook played a song called The Legend about the legendary Michigan Dogman, which you're probably listening to if I didn't get a copyright claim.
A man of the claw found claw marks on an old church door. The newspaper said they'd been made by a dog. He'd have had to stood 7'4".
And Dog Man sounds like it's a bad superhero that only Michigan would have. Like all the other superheroes are like, I'm gonna make it big in New York City, in Chicago, and LA. And then the Dog Man's like, I think I'm just gonna hang out in my hometown in Michigan. I'll just terrorize people here. The song became the most requested song on the station, with people calling in with their own tales of the Michigan Dogman. Described as a bipedal wolf or a man with a dog's head, it's often reported to be hanging out with a pack of dogs, which feels kind of weird to me because like centaurs don't like hang out with horses, you know? But the question stands, will I let him terrorize my lips? Depends on what type we're talking about. If he's a werewolf type of dog man, he's gonna kill me. If he's a dog kind of dog man, I love dogs. A golden retriever man, that's what a lot of women kind of want, isn't it? Maybe you could let me give a little kiss on the head. Who am I kidding? He would kill me. The Michigan dog man would kill me.
Wouldst thou like to live deliciously?
A not-so-rare goat-based cryptid, the Pope-lick monster must be a real freak with a name like that. Because, like, the Pope is the one person you're definitely not supposed to lick. But what else can you expect from a creature that looks like Satan? Satan! 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 Satan. Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? What about played chicken with a train? I feel like I'm Jonathan Frakes on that one show that he had where he just asked hypotheticals.
Do you have a pet? Do you have a sweet tooth? Do you believe in the power of a curse?
They say that he's at the Norfolk Southern Railroad trestle over Floyd's Fork Creek. Like, I feel like I'm doxing this guy right now, but it's true. They say he's specifically at this one trestle. Reports vary on what the goat man actually does, because some people say that he jumps down from the trestles and attacks people. Others say that he hypnotizes people into walking into oncoming trains. His origins are also kind of murky, in that some people think that he was a satanic ritual gone wrong. Like they had a Ouija board and they didn't like end it. While others think that it's a deranged circus performer that escaped. I'm sorry, I couldn't even say that with a straight face because that's stupid. This is one of the few times when a demon seems more probable than a real life person. But the question remains, do I want to kiss the devil in the pale moonlight? And yeah, I kind of do. I definitely don't want to shake its hand though if it's a demon, because you don't want to shake hands with a demon. You don't know what you're agreeing to, because he could be like, ah yes, you have promised me all of your bones. And I'm like, but I need those. Kiss on the lips for this Pope-lick man. Hopefully he doesn't lick my lips. Ugh. Now I just thought about it, because goats do that. I would accept it.
I am the Lizard Queen!
Can a cold-blooded creature feel love? Maybe. But probably not the lizard man of Escape or Swamp. Both residents and local Creek Native Americans tell tales of the lizard man jumping out at night, attacking cars, and trying to drag people back to its lair. And all I gotta say is, ask a guy out first. Oh shit, this guy fits really neatly in the dinosaurs have been among us kind of theory. Or he could be running the government? Nevertheless, those that are really into creatures would probably love the idea of being dragged away by a big burly lizard man. But not me. I would much prefer to not have my face chewed off when I'm trying to kiss somebody. The lizard man of Escape or Swamp is 100% gonna kill me.
Them sirens did this to Pete. They loved him up and turned him into a horny toad.
I love town names like Loveland. They make me imagine a pioneer that put his stake in the ground and wanted to create his own romantic destination. Maybe it's not too late for old Toothless Joe to get in on the dating game. Too bad it's in Ohio. What were we talking about? Right, the Frogman. And what a weird little guy these turned out to be. At a height of 3 to 4 feet with leathery skin, these guys have been reported to hang out by highways at night, which is the activity of teens without any booze or fireworks or friends. Once spotted, they tend to just like jump over the guardrail to safety, with some people reporting that they pull out a wand that then emits sparks which causes the question of, what are these creatures? Are they aliens? Extra-dimensional beings? Kids with sparklers? I don't like slimy things, so I don't think I would want to kiss the frogman, but maybe I could give it a nice firm handshake and then get wrist control so I can get the wand out of his hand and give it to me, frogman! Show me your secrets!
Could you give us some of your political beliefs?
Kill everyone now. Condone first-degree murder. Advocate cannibalism. Eat shit.
The next cryptid I'm going to cover is from my home state of Massachusetts, so I have a pretty good chance of running into these little guys, haven't I? But are they hot or not? If they're anything like other Massachusetts natives, probably not. Pukwudgies originally come from Wampanoag folklore, where it's said that they're very similar to elves or pixies or leprechauns, little magical folk. They're said to have an interesting variety of magical abilities that kind of make them sound like they're first level D&D adventurers, because they have the ability to sprout quills out of their back to disguise themselves as porcupines. They also have the ability to conjure fire at will, fire poison arrows, and steal the souls of their victims. I didn't think necromancy was going to make an appearance on this tier list, but here we are. And just look at that smug little face. He looks like a little Italian gangster that's like, oh, nice soul you got there. Be ashamed of something happened to it. Not a very hospitable fellow, is he? But then again, most Massachusetts natives aren't. I once woke up to an argument between two neighbors where they started yelling at each other and hey, what are you doing here? Come on, get out! And then it eventually got to a point where it ended and they were like, all right, see you later, Bob. Were they friends? Were they in an argument? It's hard to say, but the Pukwudgies, it's a little bit easier to say because I have a feeling that these little guys would prefer a little amuse-bouche of my soul as opposed to any kind of kissing, so these guys would kill me.
I bring you love.
It's bringing love. Don't let it get away.
Break its legs.
As I've already alluded to, cryptids and UFOs often go hand in hand, with one being spotted in the same area as the other. And this might be the crossover of the century because if my eyes do not deceive me, that's a gray, my friends. I lived through the 90s. Those motherfuckers were on every single t-shirt. Described by a local 17-year-old named Bill Bartlett in 1977 as, quote, about 4 feet tall with glowing orange eyes and no nose or mouth and a watermelon-shaped head. Which you can trust because he also wrote on his now famous sketch of the creature, quote, I, Bill Bartlett, swear on a stack of Bibles that I saw this creature. Oh, cross your heart and hope to die, Bill? But that description does prove challenging to me because how am I supposed to kiss something without a mouth? Am I just supposed to go up to it and its little face thing? No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. You can't make me. I'm not gonna do it. Welcome to Earth, Mr. Dover Demon. Here's your firm handshake.
Poor flimsy humans. Don't you wish you were flawless like me? A towering inferno of physical perfection?
Boasting an alien origin, this creature was first spotted after a fireball landed on Earth. Unlike any other cryptid on this list, this one appears to be some kind of robot or a metallic suit with a spade-shaped cowl, 2 glowing eyes, not to mention its weird vertical skirt thing and its little toy arms that make it, it makes it even creepier. I don't like it. It's there's just something so uncanny about it because it just looks like a decidedly less fun version of when people get stuffed animals made of their kids' terrible drawings. And I could just imagine myself walking through the woods at night and seeing this thing floating at me with its glowing eyes, and it just goes, beep boop, start kissing protocol, and then face buzzers come out and So, ew, no.
Maybe it was a deer or something.
Yeah, I hate to break it to you, but deers don't have big friggin' razor sharp teeth, okay?
Hee-hoo, we got a hoedown over here. We got a hoedown. We're having a hoedown for a hoedown. I'm so glad that I record these by myself. This horny little guy is from Rhinelander, Wisconsin, where in 1893 it was spotted and said to have, quote, the head of a frog, the grinning face of a giant elephant, thick, short legs set off by huge claws, the back of a dinosaur, whatever that means, and a long tail with spears at the end. A group led by a local prankster named Eugene Shepard said that they actually killed a hodag with dynamite one day, which is nuts. That is some 1800s bullshit. But what gets even more incredible is that in 1896, they said that they were able to capture one. According to Shepard, he and some local bear wrestlers were able to chloroform the hodag with a rag on the end of a long stick where they're just like, all right, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. They then displayed a fake hodag puppet, but were discovered after the Smithsonian understandably wanted samples from this newly found creature. And I gotta say, if you're gonna make up a cryptid, have fun with it. Do what Shepard and the boys did and make it just a smorgasbord of different features and make him like a little pit bull like guy. I love the hodag. The hodag is so much fun. Especially when so many cryptids seem to just be like normal animals that are a little bit different or like a humanoid, but the hodag can't be recognized as anything else but the hodag. The hodag does have sharp teeth and horns, but something about it makes me think I could just walk up to it, give it a little kiss on the head, and like run away while it chases after me like, hey, get back here. You can't do that. Get back here, you pervert. So I will give this charming little fellow a kiss on the head.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the f*** is that?
Befitting its name. Oh, whoa, what is that? Sorry about that. What was I saying? Right, I was talking about the infield. Oh my god, okay, put it away. I don't need to see it anymore. What in the name of Will Wright is this poor creature from hell? I don't even know where its mouth would be, so I'm gonna need an official description of this guy, which we actually have, because as the story goes, a father named Henry McDaniel came home one day to find his kids scared out of their minds. When asked what was wrong, they said that some kind of creature was scraping at the door. When he looked out, he said that he saw, quote, "It had 3 legs on it, a short body, 2 little short arms, and 2 pink eyes as big as flashlights. It stood 4.5 feet tall and was grayish colored. It was trying to get into the house." He shot at the creature, but he said that when he hit it, it just kind of bounced up in the air 50 feet, especially when it's this thing. This thing floating up like a big balloon, like, you'd be like, oh, great, it can fly now? Perfect. This is great. I can't even begin to speculate what this is, other than an affront to God and evolution. Like, 3 legs? What does it have 3 legs? Was it a stool that was made into flesh? Like, why? It makes no sense to have 3 legs. This is the easiest ew, no, of a list of a lot of easy ew, no's. And that's my list. I'm sure that people will disagree with my rankings for these cryptids, but it's my list, and I can do whatever I want, okay? I don't care what you think, okay? Except I actually really do care what you guys think, so... Remember that if you enjoyed this video, give it a good old thumbs up, subscribe for more, and comment with any cryptids that I missed out on and whether or not you would smooch them yourselves. And check out my podcast, Segment City, that I host with my good friend Theo, where you could catch content just like this. If you happen to be a scary bloodsucker, you might be a Nosferatu.
You might be a Nosferatu, that's right.
You might be a dang Nosferatu. If you have a big old castle and you don't got no servants, that you might be a Nosferatu.
I gotta do one more. If you have the boniest butt known to mankind, you might be the Nosferatu.
And, as promised, here is now an excerpt from Seduced by Dr. Bigfoot, Attorney at Large. I have to confess something, Nart Bulguk informs me, his eyes filled with genuine tension and concern. What is it? I ask as my heart thunders in my chest. I've been a player for a long time now, the Bigfoot admits, but it's only because I've been hurt so many times in the past. I understand, I tell the sensitive creature, placing my hand on its chest as a symbol of reassurance. It's all right. I never thought I'd be able to love again, says Nart, until tonight. I close my eyes as he says this, the words filling with almost too much emotion to bear. Nart leans down and gives me a passionate, gay kiss. Then pulls back and smiles. I love you. I love you too, I tell him. And I want to start a firm with you, Nart continues, Just me and you, and maybe eventually you could be one of my nurses at the hospital too. Both, I ask? I want you to be a part of every aspect of my life. Lawyer, doctor, everything. Nart tells me. I wrap my arms around the massive beast, pulling him close as the warm water continues to rush over us. Yes, I say. Of course. I'll be your law partner and male nurse. I love you, Nart Bulgok. Okay, goodbye.